Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasul al-Kareem, wa ba'd. Alhamdulillah, we are in the very last days of Rabi' al-Awwal. So, by next week, inshallah, we will be in the month of Rabi' al-Akhir, because the moon will have either been sighted or we will have counted 30 days. It'll be the new month. We're in the year 1437. Now, when we last left off, we reached ayah 31 of Surah Az-Zumar, the 39th surah, which was the end of the 23rd juz. Today we're going to be starting the 24th juz, which is juz faman azlamu, and we'll also be starting the 47th hizb. That means there are 6 juz left, 6 ajza left, and there are 12 ahzab left. Right? So we have covered a tremendous amount of material. Now, Imam Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he starts by saying, quote, now the tribulation being referred to in the previous ayah, بَلْ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, but most of them do not know. This tribulation, some of the scholars have said, is referring to the tribulation that occurred between Ali ibn Abi Talib and Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan radiyallahu anhuma. Now further on from this point, the Exalted One says, فَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ كَذَبَ عَلَى اللَّهِ وَكَذَّبَ بِالصِّدْقِ إِذْ جَاءَهُ أَلَيْسَ فِي جَهَنَّمَ مَثْوًى لِلْكَافِرِينَ والذي جاء بالصدق وصدق به أولئك هم المتقون لهم ما يشاءون عند ربهم ذلك جزاء المحسنين ليكفر الله عنهم أسوأ الذي عملوا ويجزيهم أجرهم بأحسن الذي كانوا يعملون أليس الله بكاف عبده ويخوفونك بالذين من دونه ومن يضلل الله فما له من هاد ومن يهد الله فما له من مضل أليس الله بعزيز ذي انتقام ولئن سألتهم من خلق السماوات والأرض ليقولن الله قل أرأيتم ما تدعون من دون الله إن أرادني الله بضر هل هن كاشفات ضره لو أرادني برحمة هل هن ممسكات رحمته قل حسبي الله عليه يتوكل المتوكلون قل يا قوم اعملوا على مكانتكم إني عامل فسوف تعلمون من يأتيه عذاب يخزيه ويحل عليه عذاب مقيم. So who is more oppressive than the one who lied upon Allah and rejected the truth when it came to him? Is there not a place in the great fire for the unbelievers guilty of such a crime? And the one who came with the truth and testified to it, those are the pious. They have what they so will in the sight of their Lord. That is the reward for those who are excellent, so that He, Allah, may expiate from them the worst of that which they did, and reward them with a great reward with the best of that which they used to do. Is Allah not sufficient for His slave? They threaten you with those from besides Him, and whoever Allah leads astray, then there's no guide for him. Whoever Allah guides, there's no one to lead him astray. Is not Allah the Almighty, the Avenger? And if you should ask them, who created the skies and the earth, they would have surely said Allah. Say, don't you see what you call on from besides Allah? If Allah had meant for any harm to come to me, then would they be able to lift that harm? And if He had meant for me to have any mercy, could they have restrained any of His mercy from me? Say, sufficient is Allah for me. Upon Him I put my trust, and upon Him should the believers put their trust. Say, O people, act according to your place, because I am going to act, and then you will come to know. Whoever there should come to him the punishment, it will humiliate him, and there will be unleashed upon him the everlasting punishment. Surah Az-Zumar, the 39th Surah, ayat 32 to 40. When the Exalted One refers to who is more oppressive than the one who lied upon Allah, meaning because he claimed that he had a son or a partner, and he denied the truth when it came to him. The truth is the Tawheed and the Qur'an. Is there not a place in the great fire for those who are rejectors, unbelievers? Meaning a place for the deniers. Now this question is an affirmation. It's not seeking information, but clarifying. Meaning that indeed there is a place. And the one who came with the truth, meaning the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as said by Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ibn Abbas, Qatada ibn Zayd, the one who came with the truth, and the truth being La ilaha illallah, as said by Ibn Abbas, Sa'id ibn Jubayr, as well as the Qur'an, as said by Qatada, and the one who testified to that truth. Now the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam testifies to the truth because he came with the truth and he testifies of it. And this was mentioned by Ibn Abbas and Al-Sha'bi. But also Abu Bakr testified to the truth, as said by Ali ibn Abi Talib. And those who testified to the truth are the believers in mass, as said by Qatada, Ad-Dahhak, and Ibn Zayd. Now, those who come with the truth thereafter are the people of the Qur'an. And the truth which they answer to shall be on the day of resurrection, because they've carried out the rights of the Qur'an, and they testified to the Qur'an in truthfulness, as said by Mujahid. And those who came with the truth as well were the prophets, as said by Al-Rabi'. And those who testified to that truth were the believers. The angel Jibreel alayhi salam, he came with the truth, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam testified to the truth, as said by As-Sudai. They are the pious ones. Now, muttaqun means pious, but also means to avoid. So those who are pious, they also avoid that which is impermissible. That which is being avoided in this ayah is referring to shirk. And this was mentioned by Abu Ubaidah and Az-Zajjaj. And Allah will expiate from them the worst of what they did. So he will give them what they will and expiate from them the worst of what they did, meaning he shall cover over with his forgiveness and reward them with the best of their deeds, and they will not be punished for their evil deeds. Is Allah not sufficient for his slave? The scholars of commentary mention the idol worshippers of Mecca. They said, O Muhammad, you are always mentioning our gods and finding fault with them. So, be careful lest there come to you some difficulty on account of you disrespecting our gods. So Allah sent this ayah down to refute them. So when Allah says, is not Allah sufficient for his slave? The slave here is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now this ayah, alaysa Allahu bikafin abda, according to the qira'ah of Hamza and Al-Kasa'i, it is alaysa Allahu bikafin ibadah, which is in the plural. These are the prophets in general, because the nations testified to them, and the wickedness that they'd done was witnessed by the prophets. So are not the prophets from before you sufficient to bear witness of your truth? Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, Abu Imran al-Jawni, they recite, alaysa Allahu bikafi abda. And another recitation, alaysa Allahu bikafi abdihi. Ubay ibn Ka'ab and Abu Ali and Abu Jawza and Ash-Sha'bi recite, alaysa Allahu bikafi ibadihi. While Abu Abdur-Rahman al-Sulami and Abu Ja'far and Al-Shayba and Al-A'mash say, alaysa Allahu bikafin ibadah. Ibn Mas'ud, Abu Raja al-Itardi say, alaysa Allahu yukafi ibadah. Then he says, they threaten you with those from besides him, meaning those who they worship from besides him, and they are the idols. Now, understand that what comes after this has to do with who Allah said would be astray and who is guided to him, exalted be he. And he, Allah, is the avenger of whoever disobeyed him. Then he informs that they are with their slaves, and even with their false worship. They affirmed, when they're asked who created this, they affirmed Allah. Then he commanded that he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, dispute against them by that what they worship cannot lift any harm, nor give any good. And say, O people, act. Now, some of the scholars of commentary have said that this ayah was abrogated by Surah At-Tawbah, the 9th Surah, ayah 5. Then Allah says, indeed we sent to you the book. Inna anzalnahu al-kitab. We sent to you the book, meaning the Qur'an. Linnas, to the people, meaning all of the people, in truth. So there's no falsehood in this book. Now, the rest of this ayah runs and has already been discussed under the topic previously, and has been made mention of in the end of Surah Yunus, the 10th Surah 108. Although it has been said that it is abrogated by Surah At-Tawbah, the 9th Surah, ayah 5. The Exalted One goes on to say, Inna anzalna alayka al-kitaba lin-nasi bil-haqq فمن اهتدى فلنفسه ومن ضل فإنما يضل عليها وما أنت عليهم بوكيل الله يتوفى الأنفس حين موتها والتي لم تمت في منامها فيمسك التي قضى عليها الموت ويرسل الأخرى إلى أجل مسمى إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون أم اتخذوا من دون الله شفعاء قل أولو كانوا لا يملكون شيئا ولا يعقلون قل لله الشفاعة جميعا له ملك السماوات والأرض ثم إليه ترجعون وإذا ذكر الله وحده اشمأزت قلوب الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة وإذا ذكر الذين من دونه إذا هم يستبشرون قل اللهم فاطر السماوات والأرض عالم الغيب والشهادة أنت تحكم بين عبادك فيما كانوا فيه يختلفون ولو أن للذين ظلموا ما في الأرض جميعا ومثله معه لافتدوا به من سوء العذاب يوم القيامة وبدا لهم من الله ما لم يكونوا يحتسبون. Indeed, we sent to you the book. We sent to you the book to come to the people with it in truth. Whoever seeks guidance, then the guidance is for himself. Whoever goes astray, then he's astray against his own soul. You are not the trustee over them. Allah causes the souls to die at the time of their death, and that which does not die in its sleep, then is restrained and withheld for death and sent back at another time until appointed period. Indeed, in that are signs for people who reflect. Or have they taken from besides Allah intercessors? Say, is it if they don't have any power over anything and they don't reflect? How can you follow them? Say, Allah has the entirety of the intercession. He has the dominion of the skies and the earth, and all things shall return to Him. And when Allah is mentioned alone, their hearts become hardened and enraged, those who do not believe in the hereafter. But when those from besides Him are mentioned, they actually rejoice. Say, Allah, originator of the skies and the earth, knower of the unseen, the sure testimony, you judge between your slaves in that which they differed in. And if then there was from those who oppressed all of what was in the earth and its likeness with it, and they sought to try to have some ransom with it from the evil of the punishment coming on the day of resurrection, they wouldn't have a ransom. There shall be unveiled for them from Allah what they did not reckon could have possibly been done to them. Surah Az-Zumar, the 39th surah, ayat 41 to 47. Now when the Exalted One says Allah brings the souls to death at the time of their death, meaning He takes the souls when their bodies die, and those which do not die, meaning those which it's not ordained for them to die in their sleep, He takes the soul from the body and He sends it back to the body after an appointed time. Now this means it could be in sleep, or it could be an appointed time when the life has ended. In that are signs for people who reflect, meaning who reflect on the resurrection. Sa'id ibn Jubayr narrates from Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, who said, "The souls of the living and the souls of the dead, they intermingle in the night, and they know one another, and they ask about one another. The souls of the living are then returned to their bodies, but they are informed of no more than small portions of that. And it's for this reason that Allah says, indeed, in that are signs for a people who reflect." Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said in another statement regarding the son of Adam, he has life and he has a soul. The life is his intellect and distinction. The soul is the very essence of himself and his movement. When he goes to sleep, Allah stops his intellect and his distinguishing, but he doesn't stop his soul. Ibn Jurayj has said, the human being has the soul and the nafs, the life force. He, Allah the Exalted, takes a hold of the life force at the time of sleep, but he returns it to the body at the time of waking up. Now, if he should so decide to cause a slave to die in his sleep, he doesn't return the life force, and he takes the soul. The scholars have differed. Is there a significant difference between the ruh, the soul, and the nafs, the life force? There are two statements that I will mention, but they've already been discussed in my book, Al-Wujuh wal-Nadha'ir. If you look up the commentary on this ayah therein, you will find it. Some of the scholars have gone to the position that the death being mentioned here is the one sleeping, because sleep is like death, as per the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that sleep is the brother of death. This is the understanding of Ibn al-Ambari. When the Exalted One says, or do they take, they meaning the unbelievers of Mecca, from besides Allah, intercessors? The intent by intercessors here are the idols that they claim can do intercession for them for their needs. This is the position of the vast majority. The minority position is that the intercessors are the angels. This was said by Muqatil. But Allah the Exalted says, say, how then can you make intercession if they don't control anything? And they have no intellect. So you worship what in reality is nothing. So there's an answer inside of this question that Allah is giving, in which He's saying, if they fit this description, are you still going to worship them? But say, Allah possesses all the intercession. Meaning, No one has any right over intercession except by his dominion. And no one makes intercession in his side except with his permission. And when Allah is mentioned alone, their hearts are filled with rancor, those who don't believe in the hereafter. Meaning, when Tawheed is mentioned, they become angry, as said by Ibn Abbas and Mujahid. They become filled with arrogance, as said by Qatada. They flee from it, as said by Az-Zajjaj. And when those besides Allah are mentioned, meaning the idols, they rejoice, meaning they feel happy. Now, what comes after in this same ayah, إِذَا هُمْ يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ, the rest of this ayah, we've already commented upon it in Surah Al-An'am, the 6th Surah, ayah 14 and ayah 73. Surah Al-Baqarah, the 2nd Surah, ayah 113. And Surah Al-Ra'd, the 13th Surah, ayah 18. We've already discussed the rest of this ayah. Now when Allah says, وَبَدَى لَهُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ, and there shall be revealed to them from Allah what they had not had any recollection for. As Sudai says, they thought that their actions were actually good, but they won't have any reward. There will only be their sins. They did deeds thinking that those deeds would benefit them. But because of their shirk, they won't have any benefit in their deeds. Muqatil said, it will be manifest to them at the time they're resurrected the terror of what they could not possibly expect that is coming to them. So they'll be hoping that the nearness that they tried to get to Allah by worshipping idols will be granted, but wrath will only be brought, and they will not be expecting the greatness of that wrath. The resurrection and the rewards mentioned for the accounting will be brought forward, as said by Muhammad al-Munkadir, and that there will be fear at the time of their death. And the wrath shall be brought to them. The Exalted One, he says, وَبَدَى لَهُمْ سَيِّئَاتُ مَا كَسَبُوا وَحَاقَ بِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا بِهِ يَسْتَهْزِئُونَ فَإِذَا مَسَّ الْإِنسَانَ ضُرٌّ دَعَانَا ثُمَّ إِذَا خَوَّلْنَاهُ نِعْمَةً مِنَّا قَالَ إِنَّمَا أُوتِيتُهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ بَلْ هِيَ فِتْنَةٌ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ قد قالها الذين من قبلهم فما أغنى عنهم ما كانوا يكسبون فأصابهم سيئات ما كسبوا والذين ظلموا من هؤلاء سيصيبهم سيئات ما كسبوا وما هم بمعجزين أولم يعلموا أن الله يبسط الرزق لمن يشاء ويقدر إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يؤمنون قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم وأنيبوا إلى ربكم وأسلموا له من قبل أن يأتيكم العذاب ثم لا تنصرون واتبعوا أحسن ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم من قبل أن يأتيكم العذاب بغتة وأنتم لا تشعرون أن تقول نفس يا حسرة على ما فرطت في جنب الله وإن كنت لمن الساخرين. And there shall become plain to them the sins of what they earned, and the mocking that they had done shall come to bear greater witness over them and bring to bear the great trial. When some evil touches the human being, he calls on us. Then, when he is enveloped in mercy from us and favor, he shall say, indeed, I was given it because of the knowledge that I had. But on the contrary, this is a test, but most of them do not know. Say, those from before them had said this, and it benefited them not according to what they earned. He tested them with the sins of what they earned, and those that oppressed from these, he shall surely test them with the sins of what they earned, and they will not be uppermost. Do they not know that Allah spreads out the sustenance to who he wills and ordains it? And that are signs for people who believe. Say, my slaves who have oppressed themselves and wronged done themselves, do not lose hope in the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins. He is the forgiving, the compassionate. Return to your Lord and submit to him before there should come to you the punishment. Then you'll have no respite. Follow the best of what was sent down to you from your Lord, from before there should come to you the punishment all of a sudden, while you are unaware. Lest a soul should say, oh, how terrible is the calamity of what I've brought about in the affair of Allah. If only I had been from among those who had listened, even if I was among those who brought a wrath upon themselves. Surah Az-Zumar, the 39th surah, ayat 48 to 56. Now, when the Exalted One has mentioned to us this affair, that there shall be sent down to them that which they mocked, meaning what they mocked and denied shall come to pass, and they shall be punished. And when the human being is touched by some evil, he calls on us. Now, this person being referred to, the person being referred to as when some evil touches the human being, this person, his name is Abu Hudhayfa ibn Al-Mughira. He is the person being referred to in this ayah. Abu Hudhayfa ibn Al-Mughira was the one who called out, and when it was lifted, thought that he was the one and the reason for the punishment being lifted. We've already discussed this in Surah Az-Zumar, ayah 8. And the favor of Allah, he says, well, I was given this good because of my knowledge, because of some good that I have, that Allah knows is in me. So he thought that he had some knowledge or some goodness that Allah gave him, that he was deserving to be treated in this way. But on the contrary, it, meaning the favor which Allah gave him, is a test. And a slave is tested for two things. Will he thank Allah, or will he be ungrateful to Allah? When the Exalted One says, but most of them do not know, meaning that most of them do not know the different levels of testing that they must undergo. Now, those before had said this, meaning those before had said, this has come to me on account of my knowledge. So the previous nations had said this. It's said by As-Sudai, and Muqatil referred to Qarun as part of the previous nations. And there was no benefit to them, meaning they could not ward off the punishment that they had earned because of their kufr, because of their worship of idols, and because of their chasing after wealth. So, the sins of what they earned, he shall test them. So the reward of their sins is the punishment. And he, Allah, has promised the idol worshippers of Mecca the same thing. Those who oppressed from these people, he shall certainly test them with their sins of what they earned. Meaning that they cannot stop Allah, nor can they rise against him. But he admonishes them so that way they might know his oneness and his uniqueness. When it rains after 7 years, and then he sends the goodness. Don't they know that indeed Allah spreads out the sustenance to whoever he wills and ordains it? Indeed in that, meaning the spreading of the sustenance, are signs for people who believe. Then the Exalted One, he says, say, my slaves who have oppressed themselves. Now, the reason why this ayah was sent down, there are 4 major incidents on why this ayah was sent down. One is that some people from the idol worshippers, they had committed murder. And the murder increased. They committed adultery. And the adultery increased. Then they came to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they said to him, that which you call us to is good. We will accept it if you can inform us. Whether or not our deeds will be an expiation. So the ayah was sent down. This was mentioned by Sa'id ibn Jubair from Ibn Abbas. The second incident that triggered this ayah is because of the following people. Ayyash ibn Abi Rabi'a Al-Walid ibn Al-Walid and a group of Muslims. This group of Muslims, they had become Muslim beforehand. Then they were tortured. And they were put to trial. The other companions of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they used to say, Allah will not accept anything from these people neither a coin nor a dry measure. This is a people who abandoned their religion. Under torture. So this ayah was sent down. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu wrote this ayah down and sent it to Ayyash, Al-Walid, and the rest of the party. They became Muslim again, and they made the hijrah with the Muslims. And this is the statement of Ibn Umar. The third incident was with regard to Wahshi. Which we've already discussed in Surah Al-Furqan, the 25th Surah, Ayah 68. From Ibn Abbas. The fourth is that the people of Mecca said, one day, Muhammad claims that whoever worships idols and commits murder shall not be forgiven for such. But how could we possibly make hijrah and become Muslim when we're guilty of those crimes? So this ayah was sent down, which was also mentioned by Ibn Abbas. Now the meaning of this ayah, those who have oppressed themselves, meaning they've oppressed themselves by committing major sins. And not losing heart means losing hope And anibu, so return to Allah from shirk and sins. And submit to Him, meaning to be pure in your worship of Him with your tawheed, and you shall be assisted. Follow the best of what was sent down to you. Now we have already discussed this in Surah Al-A'raf, the 7th Surah, 145. Lest it be said by any soul, lest it be said by any soul that has to hurry along its way and take heed. So the souls on the day of resurrection shall be afraid. Oh, ya hasrata, oh the calamity. So they will know the truth. Now, the expression fi jambillah, which is in ayah 56, there are 5 things this refers to. 1 is the obedience to Allah. This was said by Al-Hasan al-Basri. Number 2 is the right of Allah, as said by Sa'id ibn Jubayr. The 3rd is the command of Allah, as said by Mujahid and Az-Zajjaj. The 4th is the dhikr of Allah. This was said by Ikrimah and Ad-Dahhak. The 5th is the nearness of Allah. So what this ayah refers to is that many souls feel regret because they didn't seek the nearness to Allah. And they're filled with regret. And part of that nearness to Allah is the paradise. These people were mocking the Qur'an and the believers in this earthly life. But they stand condemned for the hereafter. The Exalted One says, أَوْ تَقُولَ لَوْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ هَدَانِي لَكُنْتُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ أو تقول حين ترى العذاب لو أن لي كرة فأكون من المحسنين بلى قد جاءتك آياتي فكذبت بها واستكبرت وكنت من الكافرين ويوم القيامة ترى الذين كذبوا على الله وجوههم مسودة أليس في جهنم مثوى للمتكبرين وَيُنَجِّي اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا بِمَفَازَتِهِمْ لَا يَمَسُّهُمُ السُّوءُ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ الله خالق كل شيء وهو على كل شيء وكيل له مقاليد السماوات والأرض والذين كفروا بآيات الله أولئك هم الخاسرون قل أفغير الله تأمروني أعبد أيها الجاهلون ولقد أوحي إليك وإلى الذين من قبلك لئن أشركت ليحبطن عملك ولتكونن من الخاسرين بل الله فاعبد وكن من الشاكرين وما قدروا الله حق قدره والأرض جميعا قبضته يوم القيامة والسماوات مطويات بيمينه سبحانه وتعالى عما يشركون. Or does it say, if it was the case, if only Allah had guided me, I would have been among the pious ones? Or does it say, when it sees the punishment, if only I had another chance, I would have perfected myself? Truly, already there's come to you my signs, yet you denied them. You were arrogant, and you were of the unbelievers. On the day of resurrection, you shall see those who lied on Allah, and their faces will be ashen. Is there not a place in the fire for those who are arrogant? Allah will save those who fear Him in their salvation, and there shall be no evil to touch them, nor shall they grieve. Allah is the creator of everything, and He is the trustee over all matters. He has the dominion and complete control of the skies and the earth. Those who reject the signs of Allah, they are the true losers. Say, is it in other than Allah that you are commanding me to worship, you ignorant people? Already there's been revealed to you and to those from before you that if you associate partners with Allah, one or all of you, all of your deeds and what you did before will come to nothing, and you will be losers. On the contrary, stay with Allah, worship, and be among those who are thankful. They underestimated the rank and right of Allah, and the earth altogether shall be grasped by Him along with the skies, and rolled up as a scroll in His right hand. Glorified and exalted is He, Allah, from that which they associate with Him. Surah Az-Zumar, the 39th Surah, ayat 57 to 67. The Exalted One, when He has said that the people, when the soul says, if only Allah had guided me, meaning if Allah had given me irshad to His religion, then I would have been among the pious ones. I would have avoided shirk. But at the same point they're saying this, someone is saying to them, the signs have already come to you. My signs have already come to you. So the answer that they're having, as Zajjaj says, that the one speaking in both instances is the soul answering itself. Because the soul is condemning itself. And on the day of resurrection, you will see those who lied on Allah, claiming that Allah has a son or a partner. Their faces will be ashen. Al-Hasan al-Basri said, they are those who say, if we will, we do. And if we will, we don't do. And the rest of this ayah, we've already mentioned the commentary in Surah Az-Zumar, ayah 32, and another ayah. When the Exalted One says, and He, Allah, will save those who fear Him with their salvation. بِمَفَازَتِهِمْ. Now, the scholars of commentary say their salvation, with He shall save them along with their salvation, or with their salvation. So He, Allah, will save them, and also He'll save their good deeds for them. As said by Ibn al-Sa'ib al-Muqatil. He shall save them in their virtuous deeds. Now, when He, Allah, says He shall save them with their salvation is their salvation from the great fire. So He, Allah, will save them with their salvation, meaning by their salvation from the fire and their salvation into the paradise. For there's nothing else that can save them. He has the dominion and control over the skies and the earth. This means He has the keys to the skies and the earth. The maqalid means the keys and the treasures. Because the owner of the keys is also the owner of the treasures. And He controls all of that. Now, it has been said by someone that the word maqalid is a Farsi word that's come into Arabic. But this is not completely established, although Abu Mansur, the great logician and linguist, says that it's coming from, maqalid is coming from the root iqlid, which means key. So maqalid refers to the keys. So He, Allah, has the dominion and the keys to the skies and the earth, and He has the treasures. So everything in the skies and the earth, as Zajjaj says, He is its creator. He opens its door and decides how it works. The keys of the skies also refers to the rain, and the keys of the earth refers to the vegetation. Is it in other than Allah that you command me to worship, you ignorant people? So he's saying here, are you telling me to go in unto the religion of my ancestors? You ignorant people, meaning what you're commanding me to do is ignorance. Already there's been revealed to you and to those from before you. So there was revealed to you that if you associate partners with Allah, your deeds will be nullified. And the same thing was revealed to those from before your time. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu has said that this ayah is an ayah of adab that Allah the Exalted is giving to His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and a warning to everyone else. Because He, Allah, has protected His Prophet from shirk of all kinds, but He uses His Prophet to warn the people about their deeds. And it's a warning so that other people might see that shirk nullifies all previous deeds. And it doesn't matter who it would have been. Allah is showing that His Prophet is infallible. But even if a prophet had committed idolatry, Allah is saying, even his deeds would have been nullified. And they underestimated Allah according to His right. Now, the reason why this ayah was revealed is there was an incident where a Jewish man from the people of the book came to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, Abul Qasim, has there reached you that Allah shall bear all the creation on one finger, and the earths on one finger, and the trees on one finger, and the stars on one finger on the very day of resurrection? The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam opened his mouth and grimaced until some of his molar teeth became clearly exposed. And Allah sent down this ayah. Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu gave this narration, and Al-Bukhari and Muslim both narrate this in their collections. Now, we've explained the beginning of this ayah, because this ayah, وَمَا قَدَرَ اللَّهُ حَقَّ قَدْرِ, has been repeated in Surah Al-An'am, the 6th Surah, ayah 91. Ibn Abbas has said, this ayah is regarding the unbelievers. Now, as far as whoever believed that he has power over everything, then someone who believes that does not underestimate Allah in his rank and his might. Then he mentions his dominion and his majesty when he says, the earth altogether is in his grasp on the day of resurrection, and the skies are rolled up like a scroll in his right hand. There is a hadith that is collected by Imams Al-Bukhari and Muslim in their collections, that's narrated by the companion Abu Hurairah, that the Prophet ﷺ said, on the day of resurrection, He, Allah, shall grasp the sky and roll it up as a scroll in his right hand. He shall say, I am the king. Where are the kings of the earth? This same hadith was narrated by both of them, Al-Bukhari and Muslim, but this time by the companion Ibn Umar, who said that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that on the day of resurrection, Allah shall roll up the skies, take hold of them in the right hand, and say, I am the king. Where are the mighty and the arrogant ones in the earth? Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, the earth and the skies, all of them are in his right hand. Sa'id ibn Jubair has said, the skies, the seven skies, are in one hand, and the earth and all the earths in another hand. And when the horn is blown into, and all of who are in the skies and the earth swoon, meaning they die out of fright and out of the severity of the sound. Now, we've already explained this ayah and the discussion regarding the exception being made in the ayah. If someone wants to know, they can refer to Surah Al-Naml, the 27th Surah, ayah 87. Then He, Allah the Exalted, He says, وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَصَعِقَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا مَنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ ثُمَّ نُفِخَ فِيهِ أُخْرَى فَإِذَا هُمْ قِيَامٌ يَنْظُرُونَ وأشرقت الأرض بنور ربها ووضع الكتاب وجيء بالنبيين والشهداء وقضي بينهم بالحق وهم لا يظلمون ووفيت كل نفس ما عملت وهو أعلم بما يفعلون وسيق الذين كفروا إلى جهنم زمرا حتى إذا جاءوها فتحت أبوابها وقال لهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم رسل منكم يتلون عليكم آيات ربكم وينذرونكم لقاء يومكم هذا قالوا بلى ولكن حقت كلمة العذاب على الكافرين قيل ادخلوا أبواب جهنم خالدين فيها فبئس مثوى المتكبرين وسيق الذين اتقوا ربهم إلى الجنة زمرا حتى إذا جاءوها وفتحت أبوابها وقال لهم خزنتها سلام عليكم طبتم فادخلوها خالدين وقالوا الحمد لله الذي صدقنا وعده وأورثنا الأرض نتبوأ من الجنة حيث نشاء فنعم أجر العاملين. And when the horn is blown into, and there shall swoon all of what's in the skies and what's in the earth, except whoever Allah has exempted. Then the horn shall be blown into another time, and they shall all be standing looking forward. And the earth shall shine with the light of its Lord, and the book shall be placed therein, and the prophets and the martyrs shall be brought, and judgment shall be made between them in truth, and they shall not be oppressed. Every soul will be given what it worked for, and He, Allah, is most knowledgeable of what they used to do. Those who reject faith shall be exiled to the great fire in compartments, until when they shall come to it, its doors shall be opened. And He will say to them, compartments and all areas, is it not that there came to you messengers from before, reciting to you signs of your Lord, and warning you of the meeting of this day of yours? Isn't this what's come to pass now? They shall say, indeed, but the word of the punishment has been established on the unbelievers. It will be said, enter the gates of the great fire to be forever therein. Evil is that which is the home for the arrogant ones. As for those who feared their Lord, they shall be hastened over to the paradise in compartments, until when they will come to it, and the doors of the paradise shall be opened, and it shall be said to them, the compartments and treasures therein, peace be upon you, and goodness. Now enter therein forever. They will say, praise be to Allah, who spoke the true promise to us and caused us to inherit the earth, so we might take our place in the paradise wherever we willed. How excellent indeed is the reward of those who do righteousness. Surah Az-Zumar, the 39th surah, ayat 68 to 74. Now, when the Exalted One mentions that when the horn is blown into another time, this is the horn of resurrection. And they, meaning the creation, shall be standing looking on. And when the earth shines with the light of its Lord, meaning it's illuminated. Now, in this context here, and only here, when it says the earth will shine with the light of its Lord, the expression here, earth, is referring to the whole of the creation. And the light of its Lord is the portents of the day of resurrection. And the book shall be placed therein. This is the book of deeds, as said by Qatada and Muqatil. It is the reckoning, as mentioned by As-Sudai. Now here, Allah mentions the prophets, and then the shuhada, the witnesses or the martyrs. Now there are two statements regarding the identity of these people. One is that they are those who shall bear witness against the people by their deeds. This is the position of the vast majority. Now, these witnesses or martyrs that shall bear witness against the people with their deeds are four classes of people. The first class of people is they are the messengers. The second class of people is they are the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His ummah bears witness that the messengers conveyed the message. And that the nations denied them. Examples 1 and 2 were narrated by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. The third class of people are the angels that write down the deeds. So the expression here, shuhada, is being used more specifically to mean witnesses rather than martyrs. This was mentioned by Ata ibn Abi Rabah. Number 4 is that the witnesses are the prophets, the angels, the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the limbs of every person. This was said by Ibn Zayd. The fourth class of people has been mentioned. In addition to this, the martyrs who were killed in the cause of Allah shall also bear witness, as said by Qatada, But the first opinion mentioned is the most preponderant one. Now every soul shall be given what it worked for, meaning shall be rewarded according to what it did. And He, Allah, is most knowledgeable of what they did, meaning He doesn't need a writer or a witness. Rather, these are additional things. And those who rejected faith shall be ushered over to the great fire in compartments, in groups and gatherings, one after the other. And messengers from among them were sent to them, and they denied until the kalimatul adhab, the penalty, came to them. And the paradise shall be filled with people such as these, which have been mentioned in Surah Al-Araf, the 7th Surah, 18. The doors shall be opened, and they shall hasten therein. They shall come to it, and the doors will be open, and they will enter therein, one after the other. And it shall never be overcrowded. The people of the paradise will come to it, and its doors shall be open. They shall hasten in with much glory and joy when they see the doors opened. The people of the fire, when they come to the fire, and it's opened and the heat is exposed to them, they shall have much sadness and gnashing of teeth. These narrations were discussed in a great amount of detail by one of our chief scholars, Ibn Shaqla. Now they will be waiting at the door. The people of the paradise and the people of the fire, and they will be brought in when they're open suddenly. The people of the paradise will be patient. The people of the fire will be bemoaning their fate. So the truth of the matter has been established, that the fire is indeed there, and the paradise is indeed there. So when they come to it, those who were declared saved, and those who reject faith, their matter is already sealed. So when the doors are opened, everyone shall go to their category. They shall eat and drink in the paradise and have all affairs resolved. And it shall be said to them, greetings be upon you, peace be upon you, glad tidings to you for your obedience to Allah. Now understand that entrance into the paradise comes after the forgiveness of Allah, and its riches come after. And those that enter the paradise will say, praise be to Allah, who was truthful in His promise of the paradise, caused us to inherit the earth. The earth here is referring to the earth of the paradise, meaning the land inside of the paradise that was prepared from the paradise, from wherever we will. So all the different places in the paradise they may go. Understand that what's been mentioned to us by Abu Sulaiman al-Damashqi is that the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will enter the paradise first before all the nations. They shall go where they will. Then all the other nations shall enter after them therein. This is why they start in by saying, we choose our spot in the paradise. Natabawwa'u, we choose our place. Min al-jannati haythu nasha', wherever we so choose. How excellent is the reward for those who do righteous deeds. So those who were obedient in this earthly life, how excellent is the paradise for them, because they strove. Then Allah the Exalted, He says, وَتَرَى الْمَلَائِكَةَ والملائكة حافين من حول العرش يسبحون بحمد ربهم وقضي بينهم بالحق وقيل الحمد لله رب العالمين. And you will see the angels gathered around in humility from around the throne, glorifying with praise abundantly their Lord. Judgment will be made between them in truth, and it will be said, Praise be to Allah, the Lord of all creation. Surah Az-Zumar, 39th Surah, ayat 75. And when the Exalted One says, you will see the angels around the throne. Now the expression half in Arabic literally means barefooted. But in this context, it emphasizes humility and meekness. They're glorifying with praise their Lord. As said by As-Sudai and Muqatil, by the command of their Lord. So glorifying with praise their Lord means saying Subhanallah and Alhamdulillah. And they are doing this at the time that those who believe in Allah are entering the paradise, because they are saying it in confirmation of what was promised by Allah. Ibn Jarir, rahimahullah, said, the glorification here is used in their prayer. And the judgment shall be made between the creation in truth and justice. And it will be said, Praise be to Allah, the Lord of all creation. This is the statement of the people of the paradise, who out of thanksgiving to Allah the Exalted for His favor have said this statement. The commentators say, you will notice that Allah began mentioning the creation by praising what they said. And the creation said, Praise be to Allah. Alhamdulillahi alladhi khalaqa as-samawati wal-ard. Praise be to Allah who created the skies and the earth. Surah An'am, the 6th Surah, Ayah 1. And He brought us all the way up to the end of this surah by showing the people going into the paradise, the people going into the fire. He brought us all the way up until this point with praise and glory. And this is the beginning and the end of every affair, that it should start with praise and end with praise, just as the Qur'an starts with praise and it ends with praise. Close quote. Now, just something important here. You will notice here is where there now becomes a difference between the Zahid people. The Zahid people are what we now hear the parlance of the word Sufis. The Zahid people will often fall into two categories. The first category are those who fall into a principle called Taswir al-Sheikh. Taswir al-Sheikh. Taswir al-Sheikh means picturing the Sheikh. Right? Picturing the Sheikh. This is sometimes called Rabita. Rabita. Right? But usually you hear this expression, Taswir al-Sheikh. Picturing the Sheikh, or Rabita. Right? Now, what happens is, because the Sheikh of the Zahid people, or the Sufis of a particular group of them, And this is your great majority of what we're calling your tariqas today. They will have a sheikh, and that sheikh will sort of be the figure that is supposed to be emulated by all the people that are classed as murids or students. He is the emulator. And so when you see gatherings of dhikr or adhkar, you will sometimes see, if you look at footage, the people circumambulating around the sheikh. Because it's a reminder that he is the focal point of that jama'ah. They are told to remember their sheikh and to also envision him, because they're less likely, because if they admire and respect their sheikh, they're less likely to commit sinful actions when they know that the sheikh that they admire, that they're remembering him and envisioning him. When they're in their adhkar, they're remembering and they're envisioning him. Right? And this is the position that tends to be shared by most of your tariqas today. So your tariqas today, like not all of them, but a large amount of your tariqa followers of, say, Sheikh Muhammad Shah Naqshband, Sheikh Muhammad Bahauddin Naqshband, a lot of his people will do this. And the greatest example of Rabita in this current age was the great Sheikh, rahimahullah wa radah, Sheikh Diyauddin Khalid al-Baghdadi, big alim, major alim. Sheikh Diyauddin Khalid al-Baghdadi, he was a major figure that discussed Rabita or Tasweer al-Sheikh, but he actually tried to reform it because he felt that there were excesses that got into it, to the point that he thought that so much emphasis was being placed on the sheikh that the sheikh could actually command the people to do disobedience and they'd follow. And that worried him. So he reformed this concept of Tasweer al-Sheikh. You find this with the great majority of the people that follow Sheikh Mu'in Chishti, who came from Shasht in Afghanistan. Right, the people that call themselves Chishtis, they have the same principle, Tasweer al-Sheikh. Right, you find the same thing with the Suhra Wardiyya. Right, the same people that have this same principle. Right, you will have this same principle with a lot of the tariqas today. People will say that they are Tijani and they have Tasweer al-Sheikh. Like some of the Tijanis will try to envision their particular sheikh, and some of the Tijanis will even go to the grave of the head of their jama'ah, right? Try to envision, right, and try to remember that picture so that they carry that with them, because the sheikh is the locus of their jama'ah. He is their locus. Now, with that first understanding in place, and this is also the position of the Shadlis. The Shadlis have the same thing. So that's why sometimes you'll meet some Shadlis or some Naqshbandis or some people, and you'll hear them use expressions like, I asked my sheikh for permission to go here. Because I asked permission to go places. Because these people are in a position of Tasweer al-Sheikh, they're thinking about their sheikh. I asked permission to go. I asked my sheikh if I could go here. I asked if I could do this. Right? Now, the other end of the scale are those who do not do Tasweer al-Sheikh, and they say that the basis of your adhkar and your remembrance is to be like these angels in this ayah. So the angels in this ayah are doing what? They're circumambulating around the throne of Allah. So they're saying, listen, this jama'ah, this tariqah is decentralized. I'm not the focal point. I'm the teacher, but I'm not the focal point. the base, the core, the marrow, the very melon is Allah. So when someone went to Sheikh Muhammad Jamal, one of the big ulama of today, one of the big Zahid ulama of today, Sheikh Muhammad Jamal, and they said to him, Sheikh, what should we envision? Because these are people that are used to Tasweer al-Sheikh. He went and took down a calligraphy piece that had Allah's name written, and he said, I'll give you something to envision. He says, you hold this and you look at it. And you worship Allah as if you see Him. Do tasweer of that. You hold this, and he said, you worship Allah as if you see Him. He said, that's the only tasweer that you should be seeing. That's the position of Sheikh Muhammad Jamal. That's the position of Sheikh Muhammad Sa'id al-Bulti, rahimahullah wa rida. That's his position. Right. That is the position of Sheikh Abdul Qadir Al-Jilani. That is the position of Sheikh Ahmed Rifa'i. Right? That the basis, the pinnacle, the core, the marrow, the very kernel of your adhkar, the focal point, is not the sheikh. Sheikh is a conduit. In fact, in his book, Sir al-Asrar, Sheikh Abdul Qadir Al-Jilani, rahimahullah, he said something very interesting. He said, those who try to go through the stages of gaining nearness to Allah through the other way, meaning through Tasweer al-Sheikh, he said, they find their way hindered and they are slow to reach their goal. He then said, but those who follow what I have told them reach their goal quicker, but undergo greater hardships and difficulties. And he said, things will happen to them such as spontaneously breaking out in sweat. Right? Allah will remove their friends from them. Allah will do this. So he starts talking about, because you'll reach the end goal of gaining nearness to Allah much quicker. Why? Because you've removed that mediator aspect. Which means what? The time between you gaining nearness to Allah is much quicker. But when you have the mediator that's there, it's like there's another partition that's there. And that other partition there is a prism that's blocking you from seeing the sun directly. If you ever have an opportunity, one of our teachers gave the example. He said, what these people do to some of their followers is like this. And he says, you take a prism and you hold it up. And the prism isolates the different rays of the sun. And he says, all those rays are present, but the sheikh that's blocking your way, he doesn't let you see them. And he only allows you to see them by using himself and standing in the way. He says, if you move him out of the way, you see the same amount of spectrum, the same light, and you see the light from the sun as it is, in totality. And this is why, once you understand that principle, then you understand why people like Sheikh Abdul Qadir Al-Badran, rahimahullah wa rida, why those people have such a really fanatical position where they say, listen, don't let anyone get in the way of your zuhud and your ihsan, because once that happens, then there's like a blockage. And that blockage, once someone gets in the way of that, because you're always worried, and you'll find that people, again, I'm not knocking, I'm just saying what the arguments are. The people that advocate the second position I mentioned will say you find those people that they'll be dependent, they'll become codependent. And Sheikh Muhammad Jamal, he said those people are spiritual alcoholics, because they come to their sheikh and they say, tell us what to do, and the sheikh prescribes them with he gives them drugs, and he gives it to them free at first, and then after that he charges them for their time, their obedience, and then what happens, he said, they become hooked. So he said they become spiritual alcoholics. And what happens is they become addicted. He says, and what these sheikhs will sometimes do to put their followers, he says they'll put their followers in a state of undetox. He says they'll put them in khalwa. And because they're isolated from their sheikh and they're in a state of isolation, he says they fall apart. And the sheikh does that to break them. And then when they come back, he says they are soft and they are oozing and they are putty. He says, but in reality, he said that sheikh is a drug dealer. And those followers are alcoholics. They're drug addicts. Because they control them through the different means that they use on them to dominate over them. And he says these are the most dangerous people. He says there are no Sufis at all. He said there's Zanadiqa, which Zanadiqa is a byword for murtads, apostates. These people are dangerous. Now I'll mention one brief thing about this issue. There was a good friend of mine, his name was Jibreel. And he was in such a situation like that, the first case where you had the Tasweer Sheikh and such. And he was told to obey his sheikh in all circumstances. And no matter what happens, you obey the sheikh, and whatever he gives you, you take it. And someone handed him a plate with something on it from behind the curtain, and he ate it. And it was supposed to be from his sheikh. And he went into shock. And he wound up having to go to the hospital and everything else. And he found out later that he had toxic shock. And the toxic shock that he had was because he ate feces. Right? Now, someone could say, Brother Abu Ja'far, that's an extreme example. It is. But that is only one example. Imagine people that are jonesing. They are spiritually jonesing. They are spiritual cluckers, spiritual drug addicts, going from retreat to retreat to retreat, hoping to get that hit, that high. Please give it to me again. And the sheikh, he dispenses them. Just like sometimes you'll see at the circus, they'll distribute the pellet to the monkey. The monkey doesn't ask how the pellet got there. He just enjoys the pellet. So he dispensed the pellet, and he takes the drug, the spiritual drug, whatever he is, and they drop these little pearls, just these little bits, and they give it to them and they hold it. Right? The sheikh will come into the room and everyone will have to stand up, and they'll run over. And the sheikh will speak for maybe 20 minutes, and then he'll say, leave me. And they have to disperse. And then they'll come again, and he'll dominate over these people. Now, the flip side of that is this. The dangerous side of that is what I've mentioned. Is you produce religious automatons. That's dangerous. The upside is, for people who do have addictive personalities, it gives them someone to zero in on and emulate. So for people who are weak, for people who do have those addictive personalities and are coming out of the wickedness of the life that they had led, to have somebody that is good, if that sheikh is good and a force of good, they can sort of hone in on that and sort of focus on that sheikh and just focus on following that example. And there's good in that. The second example cuts out the mediator and tells the believer to focus, to be like those angels going around the throne in humility, praising Allah, to be in that state of praise. And then right after mentioning that, Sheikh Abdul Qadir Al-Jilani, rahimahullah wa radiah, he then gives a recommendation on all these extra prayers that have been mentioned in the Sunnah. Why? So that you'll be like the angels. Why? Because the hadith that he gives right after that runs like this. I did not, when I went on the night journey, see any place even more than a handspan, except that there was an angel standing, bowing, or prostrating in that place. So if you're doing these optional prayers, what are you doing? You're doing the amal just like how the angels are. You're in a state of worship, standing, bowing, or prostrating. So this difference came about because of the different understanding of what this ayah meant. And the application, the practical application. And you will see that today. I'm not telling you what position that you must hold or must be. You have to know that for yourself. I can't do that. Because there may be benefits. Some people, if they have a certain addictive personality, then they should go in a certain direction. Certain people, if they don't, then they don't. Right? So with that I say, أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم أستغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم يرحمني الراحمين. Is there a question over what we've covered so far today? Any question? No? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll close today. We've completed the rest of Surah Az-Zumar. Inshallah, next week we will be starting with Surah Ghafir. That will be the 40th Surah. We are still in the 24th Juz'a. Okay? So I say, Subhanakallahumma bihamdika wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk innahu ghafurur rahim yarhamir rahimin wa la ilaha illa Allah. Wassalamu alaikum.